you said something really that a lot of people will be interested in, the fact that you apologize when you feel that you're wrong, to your children, to your wife, to friends.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we're talking about is what is it to be a man? We know that we're in an era now where men don't know who they are. Women don't know who they are because there's blurred boundaries. You know, we've got the he, she era, he, they, them. That one is something we'll talk about. But we've realized that there's value in knowing who you are, because that's what determines a good relationship. You need to know what your roles are. And so we were talking about being sensitive as a man. And so tell me, now that some people will say, I would like one like Mama Shalao. Tell me how you express yourself when you're feeling like I can't talk. What helps you to be able to express yourself? Because a lot of men don't express themselves. They just react. Like silence the children, silence the wife, they never apologize, and they're angry.
How do I express myself? I do a lot of thinking. I reflect a lot. I could take some time out, meaning that I'm by myself, and then just go deep. I'm a Christ follower, so I pray, and then I reflect, and then by the time I'm settled, it's settled in my mind. What I think I've done wrong, or where I think most times when I speak, I do a lot of. There's something that I always tell my wife and my children, that I do a lot of thinking. I speak internally before I vocalize it.
Yes. So you're a deep thinker.
Yes.
So when you're not speaking, it doesn't mean that you are bottling things up. You are actually processing it.
That's
ladies, we need to understand that when the man is not talking, because we can talk for England, it doesn't mean that he's not thinking about what we're saying. We just need to give them time.
Precisely. I'm processing it. And at that point in time, my wife has come to. She knows when I'm processing, when I'm in that state of processing my thoughts. She knows when I'm worried. I mean, we've spent how many decades together, so she knows, and I know when she's thoughtful as well, when she needs to think.
Okay.
So she gives me that time.
Okay.
To process it.
So at what point do you start talking? Because the other thing I want to pull out of this is obviously for newbies at relationships. They go out on a date, one of the things that they say is that when you go out on dates, right, there'll be one that will be always, and it's not necessarily the woman.
Yes.
It could be because of nervousness, and the other one is quiet. Is that a bad thing? Because I remember when I first went on a date with my husband, he was quiet.
Yes.
He was quiet. And I remember after the date, I was coming back on the train and I called my girlfriend. I said, how did it go? I said, I don't know. He was just quiet. So obviously now with time, I now understood that that's his personality.
Yes.
And it didn't mean that he wasn't thinking. Obviously, over time, we've both rubbed off on each other. He's a lot more vocal. Number one, I could talk for him. But we've rubbed off on each other a little bit. He talks a bit more. Like yourself, he's expressing himself more. So it's interesting, very interesting that you said if you're processing things, it doesn't mean that, you're not thinking about what you said. You said before as well that when your very strong wife and daughter are talking, you listen.
I listen.
Very important.
I just keep quiet. Okay. The other thing as well is, which is very, very important, because in a relationship, there are ups and there are downs. And there are times when you disagree on points. What happens to me is, especially when we live, when we don't agree, and she goes, we agree to disagree, and the discussion ends abruptly. it's very interesting. I process the way in which I'd gone about putting my points across, and I find a way to ensure that I don't introduce the topic, but I introduce something else to break the ice. It's so important that that ice has to be broken.
Okay, so the conversation still has to happen.
Yeah, no, the conversation doesn't have to happen.
Okay,
but we will have, we will talk. We will,
yes,
because there's a risk that that conversation didn't end well.
Yes,
and then it could lead to World War III.
Do you know what? We have to have her on this podcast all time to give her point of view. I'm telling you, very interesting. Because what I'm hearing is that you're very sensitive to, and this is why we're talking about sensitive men. Sensitivity isn't necessarily about being soppy.
Yes.
It's about being deliberate, about thinking about the effect that your words have had on somebody, and also vice versa. How it's making you feel. Have you ever said to your wife, that thing you did or said, I didn't feel good about it, blah, blah, blah? Do you ever sort of do that, or with your children?
There is one word and one phrase that my family knows I say a lot. Timely. Be timing. You have to know when to bring it up. It has to be not perfect, but it has to be at a point when my daughters or my sons or my wife is receptive.
Okay.
To
I gotcha. Like they say, a way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
Yes.
Or what I mean. Don't be talking to him when he's hungry. Definitely. Don't be talking to him when he needs, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting.
Definitely.
That's interesting.
So, and then we broached the topic, and the other thing that my wife sometimes, in order to get things off her chest, is she just sends me messages.
Okay, I like that. The reason why I like that is that sometimes people are too much into their feelings to be able to express to each other. So if you're able to text, text. Now, I want to leave something for my single ladies.
Okay.
All the single ladies, that are still looking. But Mashallah, what would be your advice for them who are looking for a real man? Because now we've found out a little bit more about what a real man is. I know you have a daughter that's getting married. How should they go about it? Because classically, I'll say this and I'll say that, and I've said it in the past. Go and watch some of our other earlier podcasts. How do they get their own?
First thing first is, who are your friends? My mom used to tell me, show me your friends, and I will tell you who you are. Who your friends are, who you mingle with, who you go out with, where you go to, will attract people. If you go to the wrong place, the wrong people would approach you. Okay. So it's very important to actually, be deliberate.
We like that word.
Oh yeah, we like that word. Be deliberate, be intentional
about where you show up.
And then when
for some ladies, sorry to interrupt, they're all over social media, all over every small thing. I'm brushing my teeth. Now we know social media is good, because I didn't meet my husband on social media, but I met him online, and this is a big thing. So tell me a bit about when you say where you show up. Is it okay to show up on social media?
I'm old school.
Yeah, but social media is where people go.
I know.
I mean, even we are on social media now.
I know. I don't pour my life out on social media.
Okay.
So and my wife doesn't as well. And my children are very, very, one of my daughters is an actress, and she's still very careful.
Yes. We're deliberate about what we put out. We're not just putting out. We're putting out stuff that's going to add value, so that later in life.
Correct.
Correct. I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
So if Baba Shala said it, you are looking for correct man, show up in the right places.
Yes.
Check your friends. And you can show up on social media, but what kind of content are you putting out there? Would a potential partner be proud of what you're putting out there. Okay.
Excellent. Very well said.
We should leave it at that for now.
Excellent. Excellent.
I got too many hoes. I can't hang you. You like to put that shit in your nose.